Season 7, episode 38, number 303 of the Decoded podcast. We're calling it summer school right now.
Mm-hmm.
Real summer school has ended, right? Yesterday was the last
Would have
day.
been, yeah.
It would have been, yeah. So it's like today when I was typing in the summer school part, I thought, should I have that there? And I'm like, yeah, I'm going to keep it there. I'm going to keep it there.
It's ours. Summer school runs all summer, I guess, for you and me.
Whatever. I mean, it's not bothering me, so
Mm-hmm.
I'm good to go. I'm good to go. Um, So the other night, it's bedtime. I'm in bed. I'm laying in bed. My wife's laying beside me.
I like that time.
It can be a good it can be a
I
good
like that time.
time,
Yeah.
but we're in bed. She's reading on her iPad, and I'm on my iPad too, flipping through YouTube or whatever. And she's like, "Hey, did you know that the online library has magazines?" I'm like, "No, I didn't know that." And so she's like, "I just subscribed to," and she's telling me about the magazine she subscribed to. So I'm like, Mad Magazine. So I'm like,
Mm.
what app is this? So it's called Libby. I'm sure you've
Yep.
heard of it. Yeah.
Yeah, I use all the time.
Okay, fair enough. I don't, but I started. So um, I'm like, oh, my iPad's right here. All the power's in my hand. So download Libby, get my library card, which I have stored digitally. So it was easy for me to just do all that. And then I'm like, okay, I'm in. Dude, I am like so excited at the possibility to access Mad Magazine on my iPad. I know I told you I wanted to hold it, the paper version. I
Mm-hmm.
want to hold it. I want to lay in bed and I want to have it up here and I want to be looking up at it like this, right?
Mm-hmm.
That's ideal. And then I was pumped one episode with you talking. And then when I walked away and came back and looked at the price, I was like, I don't know if I want to, when you convert it into Canadian and all that, I'm like, oh my God, that's a lot of money. But
Mm-hmm.
anyway, so I was scared off by the financial component for now. Okay, so I'm in bed. I'm like, I'm going through, go to the magazines, hit the search bar, put in Mad Magazine. A bunch of stuff come up, like in the search terms. It's like Mad Magazine episode 3125 or whatever. And I'm like, I'm ready to, I'm ready to explode and pop. I'm so happy. Hit enter. No search is found. Try it over and over again. Mad Magazine is not
Not
one of,
available from
it's
your
not
branch.
available from
So
my
that's
branch.
that's the thing about Libby, right? That's the thing about Libby is that it's branch specific. So the branch has to decide what subscriptions they wanna have there. Um, so here's the thing. Here's a workaround. Here's a workaround. You can get a card, a library card. Sorry, I forget. You're not teaching in the town where you live, right?
No, I won't be.
So you're going to get a library card in that town. They will allow teachers they generally, at least that's how it works in my region. I have a library card in my town, and I actually have a library card still that I just keep renewing. And I should have done one when I was up in Keswick. And you just keep these and keep renewing them, because what that allows you to is get access to the branches that are in your town. Make sense?
It
And
does.
that automatically spreads out because it's branch specific. I gone into this conversation with Debbie Donsky. Debbie Donsky was messaging me about these awesome books that she thought, I'd be into. And I said, look, well, how are you accessing these? Because there's quite a few. And Debbie, I'm sure has the finances to buy all these books, but there was just too many. I'm like, man, really? Are you buying all these books? She's like, no, I'm getting on the Libby app. She said, my branch, my library. And I'm like, yeah. I said, my branch doesn't carry it. So you get put on a waiting list, or you get the notification there. It says, when this is added to our catalog. I would say in the 10 years that I've used Libby, maybe a little bit less than that, I've only ever got one thing has ever popped up because you could, with that Mad Magazine, you could have put a hold on it or a notification. I forget which one it is. And then it would just sit there. And as soon as it was added to their catalog of items, you would get a notification saying it's there. So that's unfortunate, dude. But I get it.
It's okay. You know what? I ended up grabbing Popular Mechanics and checked
Why
that
not?
out. That was friggin'
The same,
fantastic.
same. Yeah.
So what's really cool as we talk about libraries and stuff, the high school I'm going to be working at, um, there's a public library attached to the high school,
Hmm.
and that's the library. So
I
I
like that.
believe I could be wrong, but I don't think I am. I think when students or staff want to go to the library, you're literally walking from one door into another into the public library. Um, and then I guess you follow the rules of the public library. And
Hmm.
I realize this is the case because I know that when I go to this school, there's parking for the library. So it's like, here's parking, but this is library parking. So it's like for 2 hours or whatever. Um, it's kind of cool, I think, to be able to literally take 2 steps from the high school and into a public library, and then you're there doing your thing.
Hmm.
Um, Yeah, I just thought of that when you said that. So I think one of the first things I'll do is I'll go into the public library and say, "I work in the high school. Can I get a library card?"
One of the complications to that relationship, and we talked about this. I know I talked about this ad nauseum in probably in our earlier seasons, was this idea of the school as a community hub and what other things could you kind of glom onto it. Um, yeah, this was back in the day when I was really hyped and discussing about micro credentialing and this idea like how small can those pieces be and still be accountable within the OSSD kind of a thing. Because then I got onto this idea as a school really as a community hub. So are you going to have a childcare attached to your high school? Are you going to have a clinic attached to your high school? Library, again, common library space. The other thing would be sports facilities attached to the high school. And then what does that look like? The logistics of sort of maintaining that relationship as a protecting the internal, allowing the external, and what does the mixing look like? As in, when would both parties kind of be in those spaces at the same time? There's a lot of headaches that come along with that. Case in point, um, one of the high schools in my region has their theater, like their stage is um, like a community theater stage
Mm,
that puts on quite a few shows. So the idea or ideal that a teacher, drama teacher rolling in that school will have to deal with, or even a music teacher, hell, even the arts, the visual arts, if they decide to do some sort of a show, the English department, if they want to have a spoken word and actually use the stage, they have to negotiate with this public entity because
mm,
it's actually not managed by the school. So you're just sharing building space, right? Um, and the often the school loses out because the school doesn't generate money, right?
mm.
Like they don't get their money feed from there. They're just kind of sharing building space. So this is like I'll be curious to listen to what this will look like moving forward, and more so from the perspective of when you decide to when you have one of your classes there and you decide yeah we want to go to the library or we want to go use the library, what that logistics looks like. Yeah, I'm curious. That's cool. It's very cool. I will go back to where the conversation started. Cool for you. Get another friggin' library card. Go for it.
Yeah. So let's layer this a little bit. Gary's with us. Good
Morning,
morning,
Gary.
Gary. And Rochelle. Bonjour, Rochelle.
Bonjour, Rochelle. Bon matin.
Bon matin. Yeah. So Gary said that you're right. The public library is also in the school. And Gary was teaching summer school there this month, but
Mhm.
Gary also said that when he worked there, the librarian was great to work with and that he worked there for 11 years. So it's funny because in my little brain, I'm like, yeah, Gary was just there for the month of July. But then when Gary reminds me he worked there for 11 years, I remember the
Mhm.
connections, how I initially met Gary because he had worked there. But anyway, so it's cool that if I have a quick question I need to ask about this, I can always refer to Gary. Gary seems to be popping up a lot in my life. I don't know what to do about that, Gary. Do I need to put the check in the mail or what? I don't know. Let me know, Gary. Um, Chris, you said something in the on ramp that I wrote down. I think
Mm.
it's you said we were talking about something, and you said I don't wish them any harm. And that saying, I want to talk about that saying for a little bit because
Mhm.
if people are walking around saying, I don't like so and so, but I don't wish them any harm, then I guess to me it means there are some people walking around saying I don't like so and so, and I do wish them harm.
Can I just shape my backside to that just for a
Well,
second?
I
Yes.
know
No,
that.
no, no, because I like this, because you got me think I appreciate the thinking deeply. That statement is less about, so I hear 2 voices in this. I hear one as in, I'm a threatening person, and sometimes I may present a harmful position. No, but that's part of that voice, right? Where I was coming from in that, and I potentially I could present that type of threat to someone. My intention with saying that was from the space of the projection I was receiving from the other person telling me that I'm harming them, when I got to tell you, like, not in specific words like stop, you're harming me, but somehow the way that they're framing their request of me is that if I don't comply, it's going to hurt them, and it's going to hurt them in a way that is my fault. And if I don't, and so part of it is, and then I kind of say, I'm not going to do it. I'm not going to do it. I'm just going to expect you. So I guess maybe I do, if I use their definition of harm by me not helping them, they feel like they're going to be harmed. So I guess I do give them harm because I'm not giving them what they're asking for. It's the tantrum moment. I'm going to let you cry it out for a little bit before I actually swoop in and save you from this. But it's also the marathon kind of moment too, as in, you don't get it. Like, I do this now and you're done. Like, you have nothing, you'll learn nothing from the experience. You'll have, like, I can completely take this moment away from you. I've started more and more to choose those moments, though, whether or not I'm going to invest my resources in saving people in that way. And specifically, I can say that particular example was in reference to my mom and how she um kind of navigates the world. The expectation that that her emotional state, or her inability, and I guess, and her inability to manage her own emotional state, is somehow my responsibility. So
The
I
reason
like that. I like
I
that.
I bring it up for two reasons. Then and I did not shape it at all, but that's kind of part of the fun of the Decoded podcast.
I like that you let me shape it. That was cool that you let me kind of jump in. Well, no, I'll do this, but part of it is you still get your point now, and I've clarified my thinking. So I dig that. Thank you.
You're welcome. It's a fossil term. I wish him no harm. I'm trying to think right now the last time I was having conversation with somebody where they said to me, I'm just making this up. I don't like that guy. I wish him harm. Like I'm trying to think of I can't. I can't think of a time where somebody said to me, I wish them harm. So this business of I don't wish them any harm to me, and not with respect to the conversation you and I having or had. It's more about, well, recently there was a situation in the United States where a popular individual um, was harmed, and people have been talking about this and saying, you know what, I don't like the guy, but I don't wish him any harm. Then when you said it today, I was like, well, the flip side's got to be, I don't like that person and I do wish them harm. And I thought to myself, for most of the time when I hear this comment, I don't wish them any harm. To me, it's a fossil. It's part of the fossil group. Um, it's just something we say. But then I think, well, what happens when we don't say it? Or what happens? What would happen if somebody did say it? Did say, you know what, Chris? I don't like Gary. I wish him harm. I don't know. How would you respond to me if I said that to you? You've known me long enough that what would you do with that? Would you do I know you long enough that you might not do anything with it. You might just be like, "Okay, that's what Roland said and there's no reason for me to look into it or say anything or whatever." But it just hit me when you said it, and I know how you meant it, but I think it's a fossil phrase. I think many of us use it often to justify. I don't like this thing or this, I don't like this person, but I don't like them enough that I would want something bad to happen to them. You know what I mean?
So what would I say?
Yeah, if I said to you, I saw Gary the other day, what a jerk, I wish him harm. What would you say?
Yeah. So on the front end, I gave the link I put up in our private chat. If you can you drop that in onto the YouTube page?
Yes. Like
To
in the
just
comments right now?
Yeah, the one that I just put in there, just because I don't know if Gary or Rochelle. So this is 2 years ago. This is 2 years ago because I just went to it and I could see I haven't been active on this in a while. So it's a Padlet, and I got it in my head during our podcast, and you and I played with it on a few of those episodes, like the jargon that just kind of like flows out of your mouth, and it's patter. It's not clear. Um, I think you and I, one of the paths in there was that whole, where I am, you know how to find me, call me if you need me. And that lit me up a lot. I looked at that as like, um,
That did light you up a lot.
yeah, it really bothered me because I think I did a whole episode about how that is just you abdicating your responsibility as a leader. If you are saying things like that to people, expecting someone in the moment that you're suggesting they would be able to reach out to you and ask for help. Far better to set a meeting, like network with them. Creating that network means that as you leave the moment, you don't say, you know how to find me, do you got my mobile number, reach out if you need me. It's not that. It's, here's my number. Here's my number. You're welcome to reach out whenever is useful to you, because you're offering a method of communication that works. So you do that as the leader. You know yourself well enough that if you've talked about it before, you choose who you give your mobile number to. When you do, though, you make the decision that you are opening certain channels of communication. So you as a leader, the royal you, if you're a leader, to sort of say to someone, here's your number, and then expect them to use it in a wise or balanced way when they're actually in the middle of their storm, that's irresponsible. So that's how we got to kind of like this idea of the fossil fuel, or the fossil list, full of shit sayings, idioms, and language, or something like that. Idioms list, something like that. So yeah, if Roland has put this up in the YouTube feed,
I
in the
did.
chat,
Yeah.
right? Yeah, you're welcome to take a peek at it. I haven't populated anything there in the last 2 years. There's no end to it. There really is no end to it, right? The fossil fuel, these ideas that um, the language of, I think at the time I was talking about like the language of distance. It's not the language of proximity. It's language of distance. I'm going to push you just to the periphery of my network, and you're welcome to keep connecting with me. I think it also was lit up a little bit about some of the language of like what thought leaders and influencers use to try and just build their brand so that people feel complied to follow but not really interact. So that's the blah 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 on that. So for Gary and Rochelle, this is a I actually don't I'm imagining both Rochelle and Gary have been like listening to our podcast for years, but maybe not. There's a whole space on our podcast, as well as our own individual content, that Gary and Rochelle have never actually probably encountered, because like, who the hell's going to go through our back catalog? There's too much stuff out there. But fossil fuel, the things that we say just because we say it.
Maybe if we get like a Kramer intern or something, they can go through and backlog everything. Like, you ever see that
Mhm.
Seinfeld episode? Kramer has an intern, but Kramer doesn't have a job.
I know of it, but Seinfeld wasn't my jam. I'm
Okay.
more interested. I'm more interested in Seinfeld now, in his sort of like where he's kind of doing these other kind of performance pieces. And I think even recently, I saw an interview with him talking about that he thinks he actually is neurodivergent, that um, he might be on spectrum.
Yes, I saw that too.
Yeah, that was fascinating to me, because his whole brand of comedy is based on truthful observation, like the irony of life, which for some individuals on spectrum, that is a challenge. Like, sort of, how do I sort of navigate this situation? Seinfeld, Jerry, first name basis, So Jerry has the extra, I guess, tool to sort of not just be stumped by that, but to sort of vocalize it, to sort of, and
Mhm.
he's been given the stage. He's got the wherewithal to present it in a way that's kind of like in that Ellen DeGeneres kind of way. Like there's you can just kind of listen to them and it doesn't feel like you're being attacked yet. You know you did that thing. Yeah.
Kramerica Industries. It
Yeah,
was
yeah, yeah.
yeah, yeah. So anyway, I get that. Shoot, I did. I lost my
Fossil.
train of thought.
Wish you
Fossil.
wish you harm.
Yeah. Some people have turned the fossil list. This is their whole brand.
Hmm.
Some people, it's their whole brand. Too, and I gotta tell you, some this is cool that you created the fossil list, the fossil idea, and I've been kind of riding your coattails for all these years. I might say something and you're like fossil list, or you say something fossil list, and it's like,
Hmm.
and I just looked at it and the thing is huge all of a sudden. But there are times where I totally lean on the fossil list. I'm
Mm.
like, yeah, I'm full of shit right now, but this is the space I'm in, this is the person I'm dealing with, this is what they're going to get from me. But there are times where, because I'm completely aware of the fossil concept, that I do step up and lead. And I'm kind of
Mm.
proud of myself. Like, it's funny to say I sound like I'm 12 again and I'm like, "Hey, I'm proud of myself." But let me give you an
Enjoy it.
example.
Enjoy it while you're feeling it.
Well, you know what? Why not? Like,
Yeah.
why not, right? So, I'm teaching, I'm facilitating an AQ course right now, and there's a, a candidate that's taking the course, and they've been communicating with me over email about a situation in their life. And I got to tell you, bro, like, I don't know if it's real or fake, but what they're expressing to me sounds pretty like it sucks what they're going through, what they're
Mhm.
experiencing. And so my response has been, um, yeah, no problem. Like on my end, just kind of loop me in on when you're going to finish this module, when you're going to start this assignment. And I try to end every message with, you know where to find me. Like, you just send me an email, I always respond. But the last email, so as this situation's been kind of ongoing,
Mhm.
and this, I gotta say, this person, they're still like, they're getting around to getting things in and doing their thing. They're just like, I can't follow the timelines as they've been presented because of my life situation. I'm like, not a problem. The last time I responded to them, I didn't say, just send me an email. I'm here to help. I was like, if I don't hear from you in 3 days, I'm gonna contact you. If you can't respond or you don't feel like responding, whatever, that's fine. But I am going to, and I'm gonna wind up in your inbox, and I'm gonna be checking in with you. So this whole time it's been them reaching, 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 and I'm
Mhm.
like, I'm gonna reach back because what you're telling me sounds really heavy. And so the onus for you to like crack open your phone or whatever and purposely send me a message, that's not your number one priority, in my opinion. So I'm going to reach back out your way so you don't always have to be like, oh, I better tell Roland I can't get this in on time or whatever. But it was the fossil list that came to mind first. It wasn't the years of training and leadership that I've received or read about
Mhm.
or discussed with you. It was the friggin' fossil list. I'm like, now I'm going to step up. I'm going to step up in my way, in my mind. Fossil list.
I like
Wow.
it.
I
I
don't wish them
actually
any harm.
don't wish them any harm. So I just looked. Yeah, I've got fossil fuel and fresh fuel. So yeah, because I think I wanted to like fresh is forward facing, rich, empowering, stable, and honest. Edubabble. So fresh fuel and fossil
But
fuel.
that's not on the same page, is it?
No, it's a
Oh,
separate
okay.
one.
Gotcha.
Yeah. So on fresh, I can share that. I can
Because
share
right
that.
now I'm looking at fossil.
Yeah, yeah. I'll
Let me
drop
be
that. I'll
frank. I love that one.
yeah, there's so many. And again, it's not I think it's a part of it is so there's the fresh fuel. Um
I see
I
Gourley's added a bunch too.
Yeah, Gurley was in on that in the while back in the day. Will Gurley. I think I was craving some fresh fuel, but both of them are 2 years old. Like I haven't gone. Um, yeah, I haven't moved forward. I do like on fresh fuel. I put the word salads.
Okay.
I don't even remember why I put that. Get outside, eat lunch, intentionality, say no, dare, not just a teacher, a voice for others, take time, more than a teacher, people, people, people. Oh, stoicism is on there. I like that.
I have to tell you, when you're talking
Awaken.
about
Yeah.
the fresh fuel, I'm
Hmm.
gonna add it to the stream here.
Cool.
Short as a short URL, short URL for fresh fuel. Um, when you said salad and you talked about getting outside, it reminded me, you know, during the COVID times when we were at work, getting out of the building all the time.
Yeah. Both of those lists, I mean, 2 years old, bro, right? Like 2 years old, 2022. We are just we're on what we're perceived to be as like not the off ramp, but we're in like, we feel like we've kind of figured out the top topography of it a little bit, or at least we've accepted how that we not only that we have to go forward, but um how to go forward, like where we're going to go to in certain spaces. I got to bust out, dude, but I want to
Yes.
mention funny just to that COVID memory yesterday where we went for late early dinner. We in one of the spaces in there, they still had the stickers on the floor that had the foot 2 feet that said, maintain distance. I should have taken a photo of it. I didn't think to. I kind of looked at it, I'm like, oh yeah. Because I actually kept myself, but I think I might have just thrown it out last year. We had the same round floor stickers that said keep 2 meters distance. And when they were pulling them up from my previous school, I I asked one of the caretakers, I said, when you scrape it up off the floor, because it was a vinyl sticker, I said, give me two of them. And he looked at me. I'm like, I want it as an artifact. So somewhere in one of my feeds, I have photos of this because I know I did archive it that way. Um, but yeah, 2 years ago, we were in COVID mindset still. So
Awesome. Hey, thanks for your time today.
thanks,
Uh,
man.
Thanks, Gary. Thanks, Rochelle. Thanks to everybody else who was here to hang out with us for a little bit this morning.
And I would love to. I mean, Rochelle, Gary, you want to chat more about like that fossil fuel stuff, like, really directly addressing the language. Drop some comments into the chat there, and I'll go take a peek later on because This is something I'm still. It's kind of relit my interest because if you're breaking down the components of relationships, I think it is, you know, making sure like the I think the fossil fuel list is a key component there that we're not using the words that just seem to be the things that you should say. They're actually the things you want to say, and we have some feeling with it, some intentionality. It's salad. Salad.
I love that. Okay, this was season 7, episode 38, number 303 of the Decoded Podcast. Peace.
Peace, man.